And now I'd just like to take a minute to discuss our second recipient. Again, when Klaus Nobel invented the Earth Prizes, which Ted Turner called the Green Nobel Prize, what a great name that is, it was, again, following his idea that there are hard sciences, STEM, and then there are the soft ones. Heidi Kuhn, who I had the privilege of traveling to Vietnam this year, just a month ago, has an organization called Roots of Peace. And I want to put this out to the students here that are focused on world betterment. 21 years ago, her organization was her in a shoebox full of letters and stamps in her basement. But she had passion about the idea, and it grew and it grew and it grew. So she planted that seed and it kept growing. Ms. Kuhn was a CNN producer and reporter. She worked in Alaska and she worked in Moscow, and she was there during the Soviet Union. And when it sort of fell apart, at one part in her life, she had cancer. And anybody here that's known anybody who's had this disease, we need more technology in medicine and preventing cancer. But she said, "Dear God, please help me get through this ordeal, and I will work to make the world a better place." It's a beautiful thing. So we went to Vietnam with Roots of Peace, and what Roots of Peace does, it is a perfect not-for-profit model. They go into an area of the world where there's a huge problem, in this case, all the landmines that are there. Vietnam received more explosives and bombs in that period of war than were dumped on the entire world in World War I and World War II. So they had 500-pound bombs from B-52s. They had cluster bombs, which are incredibly horrible, and they should be outlawed. They also used Agent Orange. So we had a chance to go see, it was very horrible, women with no legs because they stepped on a landmine. A pepper farmer who had no arms because he picked up a cluster bomb. Heidi goes into these areas and works with another organization called MAG, the Mine Advisory Group, where they've mapped out all the bombs and where they are. And one day, we went out to a beautiful sandy field, and it was hot, and you travel, you're jet lagged, and then all of a sudden, here we are with our Communist Party advisor and their guards and the not-for-profits with me and Heidi and some other people. And they're saying, here's where the landmines are, here's where you can step, here's where you can't step, and so forth. And then finally they brought us into a spot in the ground where it was covered by sandbags, and we looked down there, and there was a mortar shell. So about 50 years ago, the Vietnamese and Americans were killing each other. And after 50 years, there's still bombs in the ground. So here's a mortar shell. It's about the size of a Coke bottle. And we looked at it and we go, it's all rusty and it's 3 feet underground. Does it even work? I had the honor and sacred privilege, really, of detonating that mine. And my thought was it isn't going to work. And we were 200 yards away, and I pushed the button, boom. I couldn't believe how loud it was. I felt the concussion in my chest. And as we stood there kind of talking and just absorbing this horrible but beautiful moment, all of a sudden I could smell the smoke from the explosion. And it just kind of drifted in. Then one of the gentlemen from the Mine Advisory Group said, "Oh, that's cordite." Cordite was invented by Alfred Nobel. And I thought, what an ironic moment that here was this man who created the Nobel Peace Prize, and one of his inventions went into war, and I came here almost 200 years later to detonate that. And what I'd like to say about Heidi on a personal level is that we talk about being motivated and having a humanitarian and spiritual connection to your work. And so she does everything very well. 21 years of work here. She's a tireless, dedicated humanitarian. And having said that, I would like to recognize Ms. Heidi Kuhn with the Klaus Nobel World Betterment Award.
process, which was done by ATA. This project that I've just mentioned here now, this is funded by survey.
Thì nếu như mà
phát hiện vật liệu nổ là bom chùm. Còn màu vàng.
now I would like to introduce you the working map we use.
It's in our report that we're looking at ground zero and the heat.
And you can see over there are two deminers carrying the big look.
The system is internal and we don't know whether they are armed or not.
Thì những cái vật liệu có thể di chuyển để bị nổ chung. Use ballon detector.
There's a root of this right.
No.
When they're sitting here, it's okay.
Yeah. Is he okay? Okay.
In this area, in total, in general, this area is.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. And it's jobs.
Half a search head.
Allowed us to move backwards and forwards. More. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on the equipment and how it works, okay?
Yeah, they've killed just like that happened.
Chịu trách nhiệm điều hành trong suốt quá trình hoạt động ở đây.
I am Lê Thị Bích Ngọc. I am the one team leader, one deputy team leader, one medic.
Tài sản của đội có tất cả 3 loại máy.
Regarding the equipment, we have 3 types of detectors. Balance, which is using for the shallow ship.
6 mét vuông.
Total area of this site is 600. The area that we complete clearance is 400.
Our Lady of Lavang, where is that in miles in relation to where we are on the red?
Mainly finding here is...
Yeah, that's fun. So that's all the stuff you can see going over is the sandbags that obviously tamped it down.
Minefields currently here in Quantry. There's one that was around...
As long as the case isn't cracked, it doesn't reach.
still active.
Stuff from the 1940s is still big enough to sink.
Of where the submunition possibly could be, or anything could be. They're just getting a metal signal at the moment, so we call it. Once they've got it, they'll go 20 centimetres.
Please, and just explain. She was with his mother yesterday.
His mother.
Or if it's safe to move, which sometimes it is, they can then shift it to our safe range.
So this is the clearance path to make sure you've missed nothing. They move up, find the signal from the ground. To make sure they go in slowly to actually see what's there. So they will dig until they find the bit that they have to swim around.
Guys, once they find it, they'll mark it off with this red tape. We've got the sandbags around. This is all part of the mitigation, just so that.
Năm, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Wow.
Today, we live in a world where there's an estimated 70 million landmines silently poised in 70 countries. When I was a young girl, aged 10 years old, I was deeply influenced by the visionaries of Dr. Martin Luther King, President John F. Kennedy. For when I was in kindergarten, I was sent home by Sister Patricia and told to go home and pray for peace, for our dear president had just been assassinated. I never stopped praying for that dream. And on April 4th, 1968, when I was 10 years old, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Well, today, April 4th, is now the United Nations International Day of Landmine Awareness. And I had a dream. I had a dream there would be no more landmines. That children can kick a soccer ball out of bounds and not lose a limb. That a child could walk the beaches and hike the mountains without the fear of losing a landmine. When I was a young girl, I decided I would pursue an education, for when I watched the black and white television set in 1968, there was something called a body count. I had tears in my eyes, and I asked my dear mother what that meant. She said, "Dear Heidi, it's the loss of each one of our soldiers, our very brave American soldiers who were fighting in the Vietnam War." I decided to pursue an education. And in the junior year of high school at San Rafael High, I was very privileged to be selected by the Rotary Club of San Rafael to be an exchange student to Utsunomiya, Japan. In 1975, when I was 17, it was a very hard decision for my parents because only 30 years prior to that, they fought in what was called World War II against the Japanese. When they entrusted their daughter to go there, even furthermore, my dedication to peace, as former adversaries were my families who took care of me. So I went on and decided at that pivotal point you're all reaching to pursue my education at the University of California at Berkeley with a degree in political economics of industrial societies during the 1970s. Well, today, following the Vietnam War, which ended on April 30th, 1975, there are an estimated 3 million landmines, UXOs, and cluster munitions, which remain buried in the ground long after the guns have silenced. I am very honored to receive this award on behalf of Roots of Peace and all the tireless workers that toil in the vineyards of the Lord. Whether we're Christians, Jews, or Muslims, we are all daughters and sons of Abraham. And today, I would like to end my speech in dedicating my award to our great late president, who passed away this morning. For coincidence is a miracle in which God prefers to remain anonymous. It is no accident that the past president of the CIA and the president of the United States of America, George H.W. Bush, passed away this morning. May I leave you with one of my favorite quotes of his. "Be bold in your caring, be bold in your dreams, and above all else, do your best." Thank you very much.